Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you've had an amazing start to 2019. Big Happy New Year from myself and my beautiful Grace team. We're so excited about this year and just all of the goals that we have personally, but also for the platform. But we're also excited for you and your goals and your resolutions for the year ahead. So I wanted to wish you, I hope you've had an amazing start to 2019. I like to start off 2019 encouraging, being really intentional and deliberate to encourage myself, but also my beautiful team. And so those of you that are seeing this live, being, kind of accessing it through social media, hi, Happy New Year. And I'm so glad you can join us. I'm going to give an encouragement that I normally share with my team at the beginning of the new year. So you are able to have a front row seat to that. And I hope you're encouraged. I just want to offer some practical strategies on just how to really navigate the new year and the whole process of making resolutions so that you can be successful this year. So hopefully we're going to inspire you today just to really win at doing, succeeding in your goals and your goal setting for this year. And so what I wanted to start off with really was an encouragement. Some of you that have been tuned into social media and have looked at some of the content that I've been putting up over the last few days, it's really been centered around encouragement that you really don't need to change who you are to be successful in 2019, but rather you need to change how you do you. And so a lot of mantras, I think, for New Year's is always like, I've heard it, I've probably even said it at times, is new year, new you. And I understand that that's helpful in a measure because it helps you kind of demarcate that was then and this is now. But I want to just make sure that, in that process of, or that perception of new you, new year, that we don't disregard ourselves and who we are, because I think we're going to need a really strong foundation of valuing ourselves and who we are and how we're wired if we're going to succeed in the year ahead. So my first encouragement that I have for myself, for my team, and for everyone watching this year is that you don't need a new you to succeed in this new year. You don't need to change who you are essentially. You may need to change how you do you, how you plan out your day, who you hang around and things like that. There may be some necessary changes there. But I want to encourage you that, who you are right now, none of us have arrived. We've all got a way to go. But, just step into this year not trying to change who you are, but rather trying to change things that are going to help you develop and progress in your goals this year. And so I really want to encourage you not to condemn and start your resolutions for this year or your goal setting, not to start it by condemning yourself and kind of calling yourself out and fault finding and putting yourself down, because I really don't see that as helping you succeed at all. It certainly doesn't help me succeed in my everyday life, and I don't think it helps anyone succeed by condemning or even, vilifying yourself for the mistakes you've made in 2018. I want you to start afresh, but I want you to know that, you can be motivated by a belief that, who you are has the potential and the capacity to succeed this year as you are. I think a belief that, there's something wrong with you, it doesn't motivate, actually. It can destroy what you are wanting to achieve in the year ahead. So I just want to really encourage you. Yes, we're going to locate areas that we need to improve in our everyday life for this year so that we can go to the next level. But I want to make sure that, any motivation you have for, goal setting this year is based on that foundation that you don't need to change who you are essentially, and that there's nothing wrong with you, that it's just how you are doing things in your everyday life may need to change, but there's nothing wrong with you. So I want to start off believing that, and encouraging to believe that in 2019 you have what it takes already to succeed. And I think once you believe that, the foundation that you're standing on to make resolutions and to start moving towards them is really a strong foundation, and you're halfway there essentially when you believe that you can, as you are. You don't need to change into some new you, some super person that you perceive is going to be able to do everything in life perfectly. You don't need to do that to succeed this year. You just need to value yourself and find out what areas in your life of how you do you need some improvement. And so to me, that's good news. So you don't have to become someone else. You don't have to replicate someone else's success. You don't have to become this pretend perfect version of yourself to succeed. You just need to begin this year on the foundation that you're capable of great success this year, that you will see. Who you are right now is what you need to put the goals in motion for this year that you want to see in your world come to pass. So I want to give you 4 practical strategies on how to do that. So how do you frame your New Year's resolutions? Some of us have made them. Some of us make them probably, New Year's parties, and we all kind of had a little bit of fun with them then. But I want to just be really intentional to help you frame some New Year's resolutions that build you up and don't break you down. So it's all about making sure that you have resolutions that aren't about, kind of putting yourself down and highlighting what you've done wrong, but really building you up so that you can be propelled into a successful year. So the first strategy that I want to encourage you to take on as you are framing your resolutions and you're thinking about what you want to achieve this year is make resolutions that focus on what can add to your life instead of what you need to take away from it. And what I mean by that, the biggest example I have for that is really a popular resolution, which is about, maybe some, weight loss. I want to lose this weight, or I want to get healthier. Now, you can approach that in so many different ways, and we've all probably had a go in some way, shape or form in this arena. But, when you make resolutions, like sometimes you can hear, if I'm going to tackle that area of health or weight loss, then I'm not going to, my resolution, for example, could be, I'm not going to eat sweets for 2019. Like that might be, a resolution. But I want to encourage you that kind of framing that resolution in that way is not helpful. And I'll tell you why. Because it really does create like a mindset that you're depriving and denying yourself of something. And I don't feel like that will yield as much success as framing it in a way that is going to build you. So, and if that kind of weight loss resolution is not even on your radar and that doesn't relate to you, I've just simplified even more. Just think about the example of, if you're walking past somewhere and you see a sign and it says wet paint, and like you probably didn't have any desire to touch that area that's been painted, freshly painted coat, until you read that sign that says do not touch wet paint. And I think it's the same when we frame our resolutions like that. Do not do this, do not do that. I think framing it in that negative way actually inspires a compulsion to do those things. So I just think, instead of, when we're using that kind of health example of, weight loss, maybe instead of thinking do not eat sweets or chocolate or whatever your weapon of choice is in that arena. Instead of doing that, maybe, frame it in a way that says, I'm going to eat more vegetables, or, I'm going to make sure I'm, exercising more. It's just a change in perception and change in how you're framing it. But I think it can have really, really big impact on the success in that arena. And so, making sure that any resolution you make this year is going to add to you and not subtract from your life, because that, if it's subtracting, even mentally, if you feel like something's being taken away from you, you're more likely to give in, throw the baby out with the bathwater, which we've all done, like give up on the resolution. And I don't want you to do that this year. I want you to have a mindset that your resolutions, you're going to see beyond those New Year's parties and beyond January, because they are something that is building into your life. It's adding to you instead of something that's being taken away from you. So that's just one strategy. Another strategy I want to encourage you on how to frame your resolutions to set you up for success is to make sure that your resolutions are connected to a positive view of yourself and not a negative one. So it is related to what I was speaking to about before, and I'm really majoring on this year because it's something that I've had to learn and put in place in my own life, and I've had a lot of success with. So I want to encourage you, when you're goal setting, focus on not what is wrong with you or what you think is wrong, or what you can identify, the mistakes you've made or the failures that you've experienced. Focus on what is right with you. Focus on what you do well, and then try and enlarge and increase those areas that you do well, and then the others that you don't will kind of be pushed aside. If you see yourself and you highlight and enlarge your view of your failures, that is where you're going to, kind of lean in towards when it comes to goals. So, that sabotages your goals because if you're just thinking, about where you failed, it's effectively self-sabotage when it comes to goal setting and achieving your goals, and it also destroys your self-esteem. And so, again, make sure that putting yourself down, it doesn't work. It's not a long-term successful solution for getting your resolutions done in the year ahead. And really, there's going to be enough circumstances in the year ahead that you and I go through that are going to challenge our resolve. We don't need to add to them by having, resolutions that kind of aren't highlighting for us what we are doing well and aren't lifting us up. So that's another strategy that I think is really, really important to make sure is part of your toolkit when it comes to having resolutions that you actually see through to the end. Also, another strategy is an encouragement that I have is make sure that what you're resolving to do is driven by your own passion and your own purpose and not someone else's. Okay, so make sure whatever you're setting out to achieve this year in 2019, make sure that it is inspired by you and that it's connected to you. Like, what gets you up in the morning? I don't know if you've ever tried to motivate yourself by something that motivates someone else, like something really floats someone's boat, and you look at them and you admire how motivated they are, and you try to kind of take on that kind of passion and purpose, and it doesn't fit. Like, I've done that. I've looked at someone and seen, for example, someone that, gets up at 5 a.m. I've got, this amazingly successful friend. They get up at 5 a.m. They love that time in the morning. They find it really empowering to be up at that hour. So naturally, I'm like, well, I admire that success. And I do get up in the morning, but I'm more wired for nighttime. So I just thought, well, you know what? That will make me successful. If I just copy that method, then surely that will yield the same results in my life. And spoiler alert, it never does, because we are so individual and unique that our resolutions have to be the same. They have to be tailored. They have to be, unique to us and connected to our passions and not someone else's. So, that person is having success doing certain methods, and I'm not against, like, if you need to get up earlier this year, go for it. That's awesome. But what I'm saying is, don't copy and take and imitate what's working for someone else. You need to find what is going to work in how you're wired, in your day, in your workplace, what is going to work and give you success for you, instead of just carbon copying someone else's. So don't try and replicate the success like I did very unsuccessfully. That didn't work for me. I didn't find 5 a.m. empowering at all. I found it pretty awful for me. I'm a late night person, so I work better at night. So, instead of me trying to work against how I'm wired, I've just embraced that that's how I am. Mind you, I can still get up at 5 a.m. But, just making sure you accept, okay, that's how you're wired. How can you really make sure you're doing well for you? So I don't want you, and I'm not going to put pressure on myself this year to take on what works for someone else, even what works for me. These practical strategies, I try to make them general in one sense so that you can apply them in your own world, because you know what's best for you. There's really no one size fits all when it comes to success, but there are some foundational things that if you get right, then you're going to succeed. And this is what I'm sharing with you. Things like valuing yourself and, making sure that there's a foundation that your resolutions are based on, that's not condemning you and breaking you down. I really do believe also that when, you can accomplish your dreams if you focus on what you need to do to reach them and not what everyone else is doing to reach theirs. So that's really, really important. Each of us are designed to do something that really none of us have done before. Like, we're so unique. So you need to make sure you find your passion and your purpose, and then it will be easier to stay the course as well, to keep you going when it gets tough. So you don't have to conjure up staying power when you make sure your resolutions and what you're resolving to do is really grounded in your own passion, because your own passion is what will give you the endurance to see it through. So that is really my encouragement for you. I just wanted to wish you, everyone that's connected, a very happy new year, but also a successful year, because the work starts now, really. So I want you to go into this year knowing that you have the potential already and the capacity to have an amazing year. And I'm believing that you will. And that's why I want to empower you today. The way that I believe that we will as a team and the Grace community is connected is just knowing that, you know, we're focusing on who we are. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not going to condemn who we are, but we're going to focus on what is right about us, the habits that are positive that we can incorporate. They're going to build us up in this new year. And also, you know, step into this year again, go to a new level of valuing yourself. And the way you do that in goal setting is value yourself enough to dream bigger than you have in the past, to actually back yourself, that, you know, those dreams that you have for this year that you can do. And also, you know, knowing that at the outset, in January, you have everything you need to succeed this year. And I believe you're going to have a wonderful year if you just maintain that foundation. So have an amazing year. Thank you so much. Please stay connected with us, and send us through some of your, you know, success stories, or perhaps you have different ways of doing resolutions that have helped you. We want to hear from you. So if you can, you know, send us, you know, a message, you know, write something in the comments to share the inspiration that you have and that you are with us, so we can share it with everyone else. So have a happy new year. There are so many things we have in store for this year. I'm really, really excited. I can't share them all yet, but thank you so much, and much love and every success for 2019 from Team Grace.